Alrighty, traders. So let's get into another good update let's get into an update across the markets and see what the market's got to give us for this week moving forward. Let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty, traders. So that free trading course that I've been giving away for free, as you can see on the screen right now, and also that free coaching call to build your own custom trading plan. I have 5 spots left for this week. So link in the description, guys. Go get access to the free trading course and also that free coaching call that I'm giving away. So let's actually get into the good old stocky market first. We'll start off with the good old stock market to see what's going on here. And we'll start off with the S&P 500. And the big thing that I'm noticing with the S&P 500 is still, we did come out of this channel here, which is quite interesting, right? We did come out of this channel here, and then we actually definitely sort of broke up through there. But that's not the main thing I'm watching for right now. What the main thing I'm watching for in these markets is whether this is going to be like what actually happens here. Okay, because I'm really interested. If I bring up my 9 moving average, you can see what's actually, we've just broken below this level here. So that tells me we're probably going to start to go sideways or slow down a little bit. But the big thing I'm really watching for on the S&P is probably this sort of, I'd have to say, the 4,000 and 4,040 level, somewhere about there. All right, so somewhere around about here, around about that level there, right? And that level, so around that sort of 4,000, 4,054 level, probably around about there somewhere. That's going to be a really, really, really key area for me. And we're at this sort of conjunction right now. And if I bring up another trend line and I draw it from there to there, you can see where we're at right now, right? So we're at sort of a really important point through here. And the reason why I'm doing this here is because right now we've had all this resistance back here as well too. Okay, so we had this level of resistance, especially through here on a recent times. So if I bring up, let me bring up a bit of a drawing tools here. So that resistance there, you can see resistance there. So we're at that level there right now. Plus also we're bouncing off this level here. So the reason why that is really important to us this week is because of 2 things. One, if we do bounce, right? And if we do bounce and on the absolute short-term level, this is going now minuscule for you guys, minuscule, like absolute short-term, I'd have to say that trend line down through there, right, that'll be probably a trend line that I'll be looking for, be watching for. This little, I'm just going to make that, let's just make that a lot thinner. And I'm going to make that a blue. Okay. So the reason why I've got that trend line there and I'm showing you this trend line here is because right now we've actually came down and we bounced off this trend line. As you can see, bounced here. And now we've had a little bit of a bounce late last week. Okay. Or basically Friday last week. If indeed we do hold this level here of support, and then we hold and we start to get back above this level here, this resistance level coming down, that tells me that maybe we're getting ready for another leg to the upside. All right, so there's a few key areas here that I'm watching for. So, because as you can see, right, look what happens here, right? We had a move up, then we had a move down, a move up, a move. This might just be a small little pullback before we get to go for something like that again. Right, so that's the first thing I'm watching for, like what actually happens here? What sort of bars do we paint through here? And so that's the first thing I'm looking for. That's the bullish case example, a bullish case scenario of what's happened, what I'm watching for this week on the stock market. Really important points. But the other thing I'm watching for is that if that doesn't happen on the stock market, then what is the bearish case for the markets? Okay, so the bullish case was that. The bearish case is this. The bearish case is that we do something like this. Maybe even we go up tomorrow like this, or basically Monday, which is tomorrow. And so we do that, and then maybe we do that, and then maybe Tuesday we get something like that, like a breakdown below that level through there, a significant strong break below that 4,075 level on the S&P 500, right? What would that tell us then? That would tell us that what? Because this was such a strong area of resistance through here, and we're getting a bounce, if we get back below it, that would tell me that now this whole thing is indeed a false breakout of this resistance, and then we should start to see something like this happening in the markets and a bit of a movement on the downside from there. So that false breakout pattern is really, really, really important for me to see what is actually going on from there. Now, traders, make sure that when you are trading the markets that you don't just trade what I just said there. when I'm trading the markets, I always use some sort of, I always use rules, right? Rules, systems, and approaches. If I showed you my trades last week, both bullish, if I showed you all my trades last year, for the bullish and the bearish, 95% of them look identical to each other. They all look the same. Okay, so that's the S&P. That's the S&P 500 that I'm looking at there. Let's go have a look at the good old Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is doing the same thing as well too. Let's actually bring on the 9 moving average. I want to see what the 9 moving average is doing. So we're starting to slow a little bit. Slow. What do I mean by slow, guys? I'm just so you know what I'm talking about here. This is strong through here, strong, and then we see how we got the angle right. So it's strong, and then we start to do something like that. See how that's it's slowing down a little bit. So it's nothing too major from there. If I bring on my 52 moving average, you can see the 52 moving average. Looking at this here, you can see we're actually pretty far away from it, and that's the reason why we're failing as well too. You can see back in the past, we only get to a certain distance away from the 52, before what? Before we actually get it, before we eventually get a pullback to the 52. So we could get a pullback to the 52 and then maybe start something like that again. Right, so I'm not saying this is a complete bear market here, but it does look like that we're probably going to get now a lot more of a pullback from here, and that level of support. Looking at that level there, let me actually take off the 9 moving average. We don't need that anymore. The 52 is flat, so we don't need that anymore. So traders, just so you know, 95% of my trading is actually done what you see here, and then I've used the moving averages to gauge what I call momentum in the markets. And I'm always trying to make sure the moving averages in my direction. Again, if you want to know more about that link in the description there, guys. You can get the access to that training course, and also five spots available this week for a free coaching call with me. So we can see that through there. If I draw a trend line as well too, just looking at this trend line here, if we draw a trend line up from there, notice how we've significantly broken that now, right? As you can see, we've significantly actually broken out of that now. So that tells me we're probably going to get a bit more of a weakness out of the Nasdaq. But it's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens. The Nasdaq around that, what's that? Basically the 12,000 level, right? So around that 12,000 level, right? Resistance, and a break up and a breakdown, and around that 12,000 level. That to me is a really important point, just like the S&P, because if the Nasdaq does come back down and bounce, and we start to get that there, and using the real short-term analysis again, I'm noticing that we have this level down through here. So that'll be the level that I'm watching for. See how we had a lot of resistance through there? We had a lot of resistance. You can see on these daily bars, we've had a lot of resistance here. So that'll be the main area I'm watching for. And the reason why is because if I go to my drawing tool here, if we start to paint bars like this down, but then we start to do something like this, and then we start to get like a bit of a breakup bar like that, that tells me that now this was just a move up and a pullback, and away we go again, right? So that's scenario number 1 here on the Nasdaq. Scenario number 2 is that just by, let's actually bring this up here a little bit more. So I'd have to say that level, just going back in time. Yep, so we got a lot of support all through here, right? All through there, so there. One, like we see all the level of support, and we had a lot of work around there. So that whole level, once again, that 12,000 level is very, very, very important. So if we do start to see something like this, where we may even get a bit of a paint, we may even get something like that, right? And then we get a breakdown bar like that, something like that, breaking past this level of support. This now resistance here should become support. If it breaks us there, we're probably going to come up, hit it as resistance, and then start to make our way back down again on the Nasdaq through there. Moving over now through to the Dow Jones. And the Dow Jones is doing, as you can see, we're actually in a very, very tight sort of triangle pattern, and it's ready to break, right? Which way does it break? We don't know, but it is going to break. And look at this here. When this pattern does break, depending on where it breaks, we don't know where it's going to break, but depending on where it breaks, it's probably going to give us a bit of a key indication of what's happening here. So for me, guys, the important thing, right, when we're looking at these markets is that we don't have, well, it's definitely going to do this. It's definitely going to do this. Let the market tell you, right? So if we do get a good, strong breakout to the upside, well, the market's saying we're probably going to get a follow through to the upside, regardless of what I think, hope, or fear about recessions and markets and economies and, Putin and all this sort of stuff, okay? That's the first side. But if we do start to see the market actually coming back down from here, then we're probably going to, if we do get something like this happening on the Dow Jones, something like that, breaking to the downside, then guess what? Then we're probably going to start to see the Dow Jones falling off a cliff, basically. And if that happens, we're probably going to get the rolling over effect on the other indices that I talked about, which is the false breakout patterns and so on and so forth that I just mentioned a minute ago. Move over now through to the gold market. Let's have a quick look at gold here. So gold has continued to give a really nice pullback through here. I would not want to be trying to short gold through here. Gold is to me is just having a nice pullback. This to me is this is the first leg up in a very big strong bull market. I would not want to be trying to short gold right now because the way that I see gold is gold still could get a bit more of a pullback potentially, but to me it's like an up and then we're getting a good pullback. Actually, let's bring on the 52 moving average. I use the 52 moving average because I like to see where it is. Okay, so we're actually at the 52 now. So maybe gold's pullback is actually being done, right? I called for the pullback and now we're actually down through here. But you can see, look at this here in the past, right? In the past, when we get these good pullbacks, we only get the pullback. We get the pullback to the 52 and then we drop. Pullback to the 52, drop. Pullback to the 52, drop. Maybe this is a pullback to the 52 and then now see how we're changing the trend, right? See how we actually had the moving average trending down through there? And now we have a very strong moving average trending up. So maybe this is just getting ready. That was all she wrote when it comes to gold. And maybe we're getting ready for another move to the upside.